Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So the preview of the Paladin Rework is here. We have a multitude of different changes to the certain powers and abilities and how they work. Let's cover them all in this video. Personally, I'm left a little underwhelmed. I expected a little bit more. This is basically the TLDR. A massive reduction to the AP gain nerf, a reduction to Hand of Divinity shield, Divine Touch gone, an increase to Divine Shelter's heal, and some minor bug fixes. But let's dive into the actual details on these. So straight up, this is all of the changes I noticed from my testing with the Paladin. There are some decent bug fixes there, ones we reported, and they did get fixed. Now, first of all, we start with some general Paladin fixes. So this is for both the healer and the tank because they share powers here. First of all, Radiant Slam. That at will. The magnitude got increased to 55. You may notice that the cast time also got increased from 0.55 seconds, but in fact it has actually been reduced a little bit because the way it did work, there was a hidden 0.5 seconds added to this cast time. Don't really see a big deal with that. You're still really not going to use it on Paladin other than a gap closer. Then we have Divine Touch. This got changed to now heal everybody within the area for 600 magnitude. So still the same area here. It no longer divides its heal like we currently have on live. It was 650 magnitude. The heal got divided depending on how many players you healed. But it could raise divine barriers. And they were pretty significant when you healed just one player with them. This is with pretty terrible stats. You could get this barrier up to like 75% of your target's hit points. Now though, it will only heal for 600 magnitude. But at least it heals everybody within the area for that. But it also has the benefit to heal the most injured player for an additional 600 magnitude. So a bit like Intercession from the Cleric. The big downside is it has a whopping 27-second cooldown. No longer consumes divinity, you just have a massive cooldown. I personally do not like this change. I prefer old Divine Touch. You at least could have the option to run this power and single targetly heal players with this, giving them decent shields, decent heals at just 100 divinity cost. It had its use cases. You can watch gameplays and I would run this in like the Demon Web Pit, second boss when everybody's spread out. I would use this in dragon hunts. Divine Shelter just didn't give much of a shield, so it would sometimes be better to just heal one or two players who actually need the heal and give them a big fat shield. But with this change, that is gone. That's entirely reworked to this weird AoE intercession mix heal with a massive cooldown. I don't see people using this power because the cooldown. Why would you? You're going to use Circle of Divinity for divinity regen. You're going to use Sacred Weapon for divinity regen. If you're listening, devs, I would way prefer you switch out Bond of Virtue to this new version of Divine Touch. Who uses Bond of Virtue? Not me. I literally have never used this power other than the Infernal Citadel at one time after you brought out the entire rework. And it's just very underwhelming. Not very friendly to use either. Just switch this Divine Touch over to that, problem solved, and keep Divine Touch the way it is as a nice unique power. Now the next change was the block animation. Both the tank and the healer have this. You'll raise your shield, you'll absorb damage up to 40% of your total maximum hit points, and you'll gain some control immunity by doing this. When we look on the live server, you can see this is what the block animation is like. You're holding your shield like this and you can walk around, but with module 27, they want to change it to this. So yeah, when you're in combat, you're in this stance, and that is all you're going to denote whether you're blocking or not. A very slight tilt of the shield. That is it. I've personally played the new trial a lot on my Paladin tank, and this block animation, I don't like it. It's very hard to tell if your character is blocking. Maybe it's something I just need to get used to, but it doesn't have that clear animation like this. Your hammer or your sword or whatever is going above your head there and blocking with the shield. And then you're in this distinctive stance Where the new animation, you're still just having your sword or hammer beside you like that. That's your general stance while in combat. Personally, not a big deal, but I just don't like the change to that. I'll get used to it, but I've always been having to double check. Am I actually blocking? Because you have this minuscule animation there for it. Now additionally, they've changed with the block the action point regeneration rate. You can see that here via Brett Norton's post. They've changed it so that it no longer gives a big amount of action points upon entering the block. This means a pretty heavy nerf to the rate at which you can gain action points. So, for example, we'll use Valorous Strike there. You can see we have our daily power, and we go cast it, we have no more daily power. Now, if we go in combat here, let's cast my artifact, and we begin attacking. We can get our daily power back within 20 seconds with animation cancelling. With the new change, you will no longer be able to do that. It's going to take you a lot longer. So to prove it's 20 seconds, see the timer on my artifact? It's going to 40 seconds now, and we have our daily power. That is 60 minus 40, 20 seconds. This is without stacking action point gain. I'm only on 9.6%. So Paladin will no longer be able to do that. You're actually now going to have a full 40 seconds to get it back. So we'll use our daily power, again we cast the artifact, and then we start attacking. We're animation cancelling. You can still animation cancel. You'll be able to attack a little bit faster, but you will no longer gain the extra boost of action points from that block effect as it was. Overall, this is a change to the other tanks as well, Barbarian and Fighter. So they won't have that as well, and that's, I guess, balanced then across the classes at the rate at which you can gain action points, which is fair. You can see we're gaining our daily power back here just when we're at about nearly 20 seconds left. That is again without stacking action points at like 9.8%. So you can see it's about 40 seconds to get your daily power back with the new change to block. It is a pretty big nerf. You will not be casting those daily powers as often. You're basically gone from 1 daily power every 20 seconds to 40 seconds. Again, I'm not going to complain about this because it is affecting also Fighter tank and the Barbarian tank. And on Healer, didn't really cast your daily powers all too often. They're not that effective. Generally, you would hold on to them until you really needed them, which was far longer than just 40 seconds. And since the other tanks are also getting this adjustment, content is balanced around getting that daily power within the 40-second range. If it ends up too hard to complete the content because of this change, I'm sure they'll do something to adjust. But now we move to the Paladin tank changes. There was really not a lot done here. Again, you still have the same base changes there with Radiant Slam, Divine Touch, and the block. But additionally, Pacific 2, the Justicar, Aura of Vengeance will now properly critically hit. A bug I reported, and it's nice they fix it. Then additionally, Divine Protector. This is your bubble daily power where you can tether to somebody as long as you don't have this feat and basically intercept the damage that would be dealt to them to you instead. Additionally, you gain 30% awareness. Very nicely, this has been fixed. You can see we go close to an ally, we get tethered, we move away, it breaks, and we go close again and we get tethered. So instead of what it did before is if you didn't have an ally within 30 feet, the daily power just ended and that was it. You basically wasted your daily power. And if somebody moved out of the 30 feet while it was still within its duration, again, the daily power just ended. So a nice fix there. Additionally, Intimidating Presence. This feat got an addition. It now does 100 magnitude high threat attack every second to nearby enemies. Now it says it will still greatly increase your threat generated, and I personally have not tested the threat values on these. But my assumption right now is they have not changed the base increased threat, and that the 100 magnitude high threat attack is not going to be any more higher than 800% that Templar's Wrath has. That means this feat is still pretty pointless to use. You're giving up Unyielding Champion for it. Unyielding Champion increases your block to 60%. You're basically losing 20% hit points by having this feat. On top of that, Your tab ability or Divine Champion will drain at 60 divinity per second, versus with Unyielding Champion at just 50 divinity per second. So it has a higher cost, 20% less effective hit points just for this increased threat effect. When you look at this versus just using your divinity on Templar's Wrath, it's a tiny bit more cost effective to use Intimidating Presence if they were at the same threat levels, but you're giving up all that survivability. So the only real place I see this feat being actually useful is in AoE, when you have lots of enemies to attack. And even then, it can just be better hitting them once with Templar's Wrath. You can see the aura damage there. The radius is equal to 30 feet, which is the area of that there. But that is the exact same area you have with Templar's Wrath. 30 feet radius. So Templars is instant threat, but at a 300 cost. An Intimidating Presence, to get the equivalent threat, you'd have to wait like 4 seconds. That's 240 divinity drained. And additionally, you lose out on that 20% effective hit points. I think Intimidating Presence should reduce the drain on your Divine Champion to like 30 points. Then it would be worth it. In most boss fights, you'll not want to give up the survivability from Unyielding Champion anyway. But then we move to the Paladin Healer, the specific powers for there. The Radiant Slam, the Divine Touch, and the Block Change are all here as well. But then we have Cure Wounds. It will now not heal companions. So you're not going to accidentally heal a companion instead of a player. But this means you also can't heal NPCs. So that could be a bad thing with regards to Master Temple of the Spider and healing those ghosts. You're not going to be able to heal them, meaning you're not going to avoid being able to get those extra stacks, meaning everybody takes more damage. Now, Divine Shelter did get a magnitude increase, which is nice, but it will then heal for a bit more. But the barrier, the Divine Barrier, will not actually shield for more than what we have on the live server. This is a critical shield here, and then with Model 27, that's a critical shield. They're basically the same. That is because of a nerf to a Misery of Warding. So the heal's gone up a little bit, but the shield has remained the same. Then we have a change to Hand of Divinity. It is supposed to get increased up to 1200 magnitude. That is from the 1000 it is currently. This should compensate the nerf to a Misery of Warding. The problem right now is Hand of Divinity is bugged and it actually only heals for 1000 instead of 1200. Hopefully they'll fix this before this goes live. So basically a critical heal will be equivalent to this size barrier versus what it is here on the live server. That is a noticeable drop in effectiveness. But if the magnitude actually gets increased to the 1200 like it says, the shield size should be the same. Now your daily power, Lay on Hands, will also no longer target companions. That is good. You're not going to accidentally heal your companion with that or somebody else's rather than the player you intended to target. But it also means you're not healing the ghosts with it. Sanctuary should now grant control immunity, at least to most attacks. When I initially tested this, it was not granting that immunity. You can see we still get frozen here and it cancels. But that seems to be an edge case where it works here, as you can see. But we still do get pushed, which is not true control immunity. But at least they're trying to fix that. You shouldn't get cancelled as often. Now the auras, Aura of Protection, Aura of Wrath, and Aura of Restoration. The first two will properly state that they give an additional 2% to the person marked with your Aura of Divinity. So that's nice. And then also Aura of Restoration will properly grant the 2% incoming healing to the person marked with Aura of Divinity. Currently that does not work. So that's a ever so slight increase for healing the tank. Additionally, Sheltered Healing. This is the feat down here where you enhance your Cure Wounds at will now properly say 425 magnitude as its enhanced heal rather than it was bugged and it said like 650 or something. And then the nerf, Emissary of Warding. You've gone from 50% extra shield to just 25%. However, this is compensated by the increase to the magnitude of Divine Shelter, so Divine Shelter will shield for about the same, and the Hand of Divinity should shield for the same once it actually gets fixed. Right now, as you saw, it shields for less. Again, because the bug of it only healing for 1,000 instead of the stated 1,200. The bugs that I did notice then was that there, and then also not being able to heal NPCs or companions anymore other than with Sanctuary. I think they need to change Divine Shelter so it will be able to heal companions similar to the Healing Word from the Cleric now, and the Vampiric Embrace from the Warlock, and Rejuvenating Carol on the Bard. They all have heal over times, which can heal companions. At the very least, we can have our Divine Shelter be able to do that as well. And otherwise, the remaining bug with the Hand of Divinity, you cannot critically heal yourself when you're not marked and the heal goes to you. So if you have somebody marked and they're outside of your range of 120 feet, the heal just cannot critically heal on you. Circle of Divinity only lasts 10 seconds, not what it states as 12 seconds. And otherwise, I still need to test the Aura of Divinity, the marking. Have they improved it so you can mark somebody through an enemy's hitbox? Right now, if your ally's like on the opposite side of the boss, you weren't able to mark them when they're on the other side. It would like error out and it was very annoying. It probably didn't fix that, to be honest, but I still need to test that. But ultimately, that's what we end up with. A minus 100% AP gain nerf, a minus 17% shield to Hand of Divinity, which is a bug right now. Hopefully that gets fixed. Divine Touch has been scrapped. I consider it a nerf. I like the old version. A plus 35% boost to the Divine Shelter heal, not the shield. That's, I guess, good, especially for newer players. And then some minor bug fixes. That being everything here again. The changes to the Paladin tank, they're nice. Don't really impact anything that I regularly use. And the changes to Paladin healer, again, nice to get the adjustments to the auras. CC immunity with Sanctuary. And the additional heal on Divine Shelter. But again, it leaves it very underwhelming. Is that really all there is to it? Well, if the devs are watching, I have some quality of life improvements that would help a lot. These are my suggestions. Change the critical touch feat back to being able to activate while attacking, and also have it affect your Hand of Divinity. Change Vow of Enmity to actually place you on top of the threat list immediately when you cast it, rather than with a delay of 2 seconds, which makes it really tight to use on a tank buster. Change Radiant Charge daily power to have a far lower cast time. It's pretty impractical to use as an AoE daily power right now. Change Divine Champion to activate while blocking. Change Timely Intervention to activate when the target's at 50% hit points instead of just 25%. They're usually dead at that point. Change Intimidating Presence to only drain 30 divinity, or change it so that it increases the block to 60% and leave it as is. Allow for multiple auras to be slotted. Double the amount of Justicar's charge, basically making Justicar's Bulwark by default. That is your hidden pool of divinity, which you can tap into whenever you block an attack. You gain some extra divinity from that pool. And change Justicar's Bulwark then to just give a flat 20% divinity regen. And that will then compete with your Divine Pursuit, which is better for when you are spreading out your divinity consumption. But if you have it all in burst, it can be better to have just this extra 20% divinity regen. And then otherwise, give Paladin a 10% crit chance over the 90% cap. So if you're a healer and have 90% crit chance, you have a base plus 10%, you would effectively have a 100% chance. So you can always critically heal, and that way your shields will always be full, and also your tab heal will always reliably be a max shield. That would be very nice. The alternative is to just change the critical touch feedback so that you can activate it while you're attacking at like a 10% chance or something. And otherwise, give all tanks 100% crit chance by default. This would be a massive improvement to the reliability of threat. Right now, if I end up deflecting and not critting multiple times in a row on that Templars during the burst window, my threat is just screwed. So it could be really good to have 100% crit chance on those. Or just increase them a bit and forget about the crit. So again, pretty underwhelming. Not much to this rework. However, a special thank you to all these channel members for your added support, and thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.